I can change your feelings. You happy? That shit was funny. Oh, welcome back to the Daily BS. I'm Doug Larson. That's Mike Bledsoe right there. I got a question today asking about how to manage your knee after you've had ACL or MCL surgery. So first things first, you want to get cleared by your doctor, obviously, and then you would probably want to go through physical therapy until you get released and your physical therapist says that you are okay to go back to kind of more normal training. But even once you're released, you're probably still not 100% ready to go full speed back to what you were doing before you hurt your knee. So you want to ease back into your training by doing more knee-friendly type movements. So easy examples there. Coming back first, you want to do things like RDLs, okay, where I can put a bar on a rack where I don't have to pull off the floor. I can pick it up, step back, and I can just do bending at my hip where I have a soft knee, I have a slight bend in my knee. I'm bending over as far as I can, getting a big stretch of my hamstrings with a neutral spine. So I can do things like RDLs in good mornings, which is the same thing with a bar on my back. And that's going to be very knee friendly, but I'm still going to be able to get a lot of posterior chain, hip dominant type work in. As you progress back to squatting, you can start box squatting to a high box. If I have the bar on my back, hips back first, I have a vertical shin. Okay, I have a vertical shin and my knees only being bent to 90 degrees. Again, staying tall, pushing the floor apart and pushing my knees back. That's, again, a pretty hip dominant type of squat that I can progress into where I'm not bending my knee too much. I'm sitting down softly onto the box. I'm not going down ass to grass and getting a full bent knee, which can be hard on my knee. And it's easier shortening the range of motion to not end up in a position where my knees are diving in towards each other, which is likely how you got ACL/MCL problems in the first place. Usually what happens when someone tears their ACL is if they're like in a soccer game or something, they'll plant, their foot will rotate out and their knee will rotate in, and then they'll twist their knee rather than simply bend their knee. And when they twist their knee, they tear their ACL and they get MCL problems and meniscus problems and a whole host of knee problems. So that's why we say when you're squatting, if your knees are diving in, we're telling you always to push your knees out. That way you end up knee over toe or knee right over your foot with that more vertical shin. It's easier on your knee. Okay? So we want to stick with more vertical shin, hip dominant movements like the RDLs in good mornings, like the kind of higher box squats where I'm just getting down right to parallel. Also with single leg work, I can lunge back again with a vertical shin, and I can do something like a reverse lunge like that where it's pretty easy on my front knee, and then eventually I can move towards the things that are more typical in CrossFit, like back squats and front squats and pistols, where they're very knee dominant and you end up in a position where you're getting a lot of knee flexion as opposed to just 90 or so degrees of knee flexion like I was just pointing out with the box squats and the lunges. Eventually, you'll be able to do full Olympic lifts where you're throwing weight onto your shoulders and you're catching it at the bottom and you're bouncing out of the hole, but that'll be down the line. That's not one of the first things you're going to want to come back into. If you want to progress into Olympic lifts, I would suggest doing the power variations before you're doing the full squat variations. So for the clean, I could start down at the bottom. Again, my knees bend. As long as it's comfortable, you can start at the bottom. And then I can catch up here where I'm not catching in a full squat. I'm catching, with a little bit of bend in my knee, but it's not going to be as taxing on my knee to catch in that quarter squat like it's going to be if I catch all the way at the very, very bottom, especially with heavy weight. So those are a couple of quick suggestions for you. Another thing to consider right when you're coming out of physical therapy that I didn't mention though, that helps people that are recovering from ACL surgery is one of the things you need to get back first isn't necessarily the ability to bend your knee, but it's also the ability to get into full knee extension. The research shows that if you can get full knee extension, the sooner you do get that, the more likely you are to have a healthy knee down the line. So getting full knee extension is a very important part of your recovery post-surgery. So keep that in mind. That's probably something that you should discuss with your physical therapist. That's going to be more right after surgery and not necessarily when you're back training full time again, but a very important aspect of post-surgery rehabilitation, excuse me. So if you have more questions for us, if you want to ask a question specifically to that guy right there, He's a happy guy, that Mike Bledsoe. Then you can go to barbellshrugged.com, click the Ask a Question tab at the top of the page, and you can ask us a question on that short survey.
If you like this video or any of our other videos, make sure to share it on your Facebook wall by clicking share, and then the Facebook icon, and then also like it. Thanks, Shrug Thugs.